They, I'm just, that they could look. They could do porno for all I care. I don't care. It's their life. Somebody today asked me about celebrities, and who's your favorite celebrity? And I said, well, I don't really have one. I mean, there are people that I prefer to see. I mean, I've mentioned Will Smith simply because every movie I have seen Will Smith in, I've liked. Maybe it's just the movie and the script and the plot and the theme of the movie, and not anybody else could have been in those roles, and I probably still would have liked the movie. But Will Smith was smart enough to have roles that Rod Eccles likes, so fine. Okay, I guess Will Smith. Well, wouldn't you like to go out with Will Smith to dinner or something? I said no before. No, I don't. I am not into celebrity. I don't care what they do. It really doesn't. I don't ask for autographs. I've never asked for anyone's autograph. So, because somebody today, they're like, well, I bet I could impress you. I'm like, I doubt it. I'm not easily impressed. So, and he produced a card that proved something, and I facetiously said, yeah, I'm impressed. I wasn't really, but, just to make them feel better, I guess. I'm a nice guy. But I'm just not into celebrity. And well, some people might think, well, that's because you think that you're all that. No, I'm just an average guy. I'm your guy next door. I don't think I'm better than anybody else, and I don't think anybody else is better than me. I'm not impressed. I've even met a few politicians. I mean, I wasn't like, oh, my goodness, you're him or you're her. No. That's the problem with society. We want to turn everybody that we possibly can into a celebrity. Because for some reason, celebrity is the big thing. I don't know why. I mean, you wouldn't normally, now I've already hashed that out before. I think I even went over that last night's show. But if Justin Bieber, all these little teeny boppers that scream for him, if he had never written a song, if he couldn't play an instrument, and he was not on stage, and he was walking down the mall, 99.999% of those girls that currently scream at him wouldn't even look at him twice. Wouldn't even look at him once. I mean, if they passed him, they might notice him. Oh, yeah, blonde, big deal. Seriously. But we put celebrity on these people, and now we're trying to transpose celebrity from people who really don't matter, like musicians and actors and such. And we're trying to transpose that celebrity onto our politicians. Obama. That's dangerous. That's just stupid. ClimateDepot.com. For Professor Pilk Jr., Sandy was terrible. But, the professor says, we're currently in a relative hurricane drought. And we're having everybody else just say just the opposite. Oh, my goodness, these storms are terrible. Sandy was awful. This is all due to climate change, ClimateGate, blah, blah. It's been more than 7 years since a Category 3 or larger has made landfall in the USA. Longest such span in over a century. Wait, what, Rod? It has been more than 7 years since a Category 3 or larger hurricane has made landfall on the mainland of the USA. 7 years. The longest such drought in over a century. But we're supposed to just all of a sudden believe just because one storm races up the coast and knocks out New York City and the Jersey Shore, when they knew this was going to happen and they should have been prepared years ago for this, and they weren't. Now we're supposed to think, oh, it's man-made climate change. Bullpucky. And we've had hurricanes march up the coast before. Now, what if people were? Here's a question. What if people were stupid in 1886? In 1886, the U.S. was hit by an incredible 7 hurricanes, including 2 major hurricanes. Suppose that some snake oil salesman named Hames Jansen had been running around the country in 1886 claiming that he could prevent hurricanes by having everyone give up coal and oil. The consequences would have been catastrophic, and had people been stupid enough to listen to Dr. Hames Jansen. And no, it's not James Hansen. They're saying Hames Jansen. Global warming activists like NASA's Hansen should be happy with Sandy. Why? Because Hansen believes that the key to preventing events like Sandy is to cut off our supply of fossil fuels. Now, Sandy obviously understood this and did the job for us, which we lacked the will to do ourselves, meaning now a lot of people are unable to get gas in New Jersey. Now, climatologist Dr. Patrick Michaels predicts Romney may pass carbon tax. The advisors that he has are pretty green. He might actually push for a tax on carbon-based energy. Now, Michael says Romney's advisor, Jim Connaughton, was the person in the Bush administration who pushed cap and trade, and now they're talking carbon tax. And I think you are going to see that happen. So, you people on the left, you probably love that kind of stuff. Well, that kind of, in the wonderful divine Miss M. Bette Midler, this is what she said about global warming. I know in my heart the truth. If people knew simple physics, they would understand it as well about global warming. Okay. And Michael Moore blames carbon dioxide for Sandy. Moore has said, we've allowed the ignoramuses to run the show on this, and this storm should really put an end to that. I don't know what they're expecting. Sandy was a Category 1. I have no idea what these people are thinking or talking about when it comes to climate change and storms. As if a hurricane is never, if we were to stop using fuel, carbon-based fuels, then all hurricanes would stop hitting the United States. That is insane. But they don't stop and listen to how they sound. Because nobody else is in their circle of life is ever going to challenge them. I know there are people around that actually believe this crapola. But, logically speaking, I have to follow the logic. We've always had hurricanes, even before the Industrial Revolution. And I'm just talking about this neck of the woods here on the planet. We've had hurricanes. There's always been hurricanes. Native Americans have talked about hurricanes, in their stories. We know that there have been monsoons forever because historical data talks about monsoons in Asia and places like on the other side of the globe. So we know we've always had those types of powerful storms and powerful weather systems before the Industrial Revolution. So man couldn't have possibly have been the cause of them. Now, we know that before global warming, man-made global warming could have ever even really have gotten started, that hurricanes marched up the coast. We know hurricanes march up the coast in the 1800s. We know they marched up the coast in the early 1900s. And we also know that there have been some very powerful hurricanes up to Category 5 to hit this continent, but there hasn't been a Category 3 or greater in 7 years. That includes Sandy. Sandy wasn't a 3 or above. You know, but New York, the untouchable city. People knew that this was going to happen. This is kind of like New Orleans. They knew something like this could happen, but were they prepared for it? No. Not at all. And that's the failure of government, not because of global warming stuff. I mean, let's be fair now. We got to be fair with all this. It isn't because of global warming. I mean, I might give you the benefit of the doubt if Sandy were a Hurricane 5, Class 5. She wasn't even nowhere near a 3. So there you have it. We have all these wonderful people that want to prevent you from living a modern life. Maybe what these people ought to start thinking about. Well, yeah, there are nut jobs out there that are already thinking this. Government has already been experimenting with controlling the weather. But maybe if the left believes that at some point we could be like Star Trek and have a one world government and be like the Federation, and they have in Star Trek something called a weather net. Now, you would think as being that advanced that they wouldn't want to mess with Mother Nature all that much. But, okay, maybe they should start working on a weather net so we don't have hurricanes and so we don't have tornadoes. But, as we go along and the more we learn about our wonderful planet, we learn that all of this stuff has a natural purpose. It has a natural purpose. But we see, kind of like, we don't want to see the beach erode. Well, the beach doesn't erode. It erodes, but it gets pushed back. But, a lot of people live on the beach, so we don't want to see it erode and take away land and washing it in the sea and things like that. So what do? We build, barriers and barges and things like that to try to keep the natural effect of nature, not man, nature. Plain and simple. I mean, it's pretty obvious. Nature's just a little bit more powerful than mankind right now, unless man decides to use nuclear weapons. In which case, eventually, nature will still win. We will lose, yes, but nature eventually will recover and win. Because, this planet, it once lived without us. It can live without us again. So even for us Christians who believe that God created the planet and everything on it, he waited until the sixth day, the last day of creation, to put man on it. So, for 5 days, a whole work week, the earth lived without man. And all I can say is, well, maybe on the seventh day when God was resting, maybe he was scratching his head and said, I hope I didn't create any stupid environmentalist.
I always loved watching the kids play basketball. I still do, even though things have changed. It's funny, they can't find jobs to get their career started. And I can't afford to retire.